What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special Christmas holiday episode of Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold story behind athletics, big business, corporate America, private sector, politics, and entrepreneurship, then this is the show for you. Being a part of most of these and having family and friends involved in them at one point of time in their lives, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in these careers. Now, let's try to unmask a few of them today. Today's guest is a young lady who's a native of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She wears many hats today and has been wearing them for a long time. The only reason I say that is because I believe she started when she was around 5 years old. So that tells you how young she actually is. But let me try to name a few, because if I named them all, we could run out of time. That means that you are in high demand because of your great work. She's a businesswoman, a preaker, and she'll probably talk about that as we go on, life coach, author, community leader, social activist. She was a flight attendant at one time, a policewoman for 14 plus years, and many more positions of power. The most important thing is she's a mom of two wonderful adult kids, Tremaine and Madison, and recently a new glam mom to Melody. Welcome to the show, our special guest, Georgette Littlejohn. How are you doing, Georgette?
Hey, Lamar, thank you. I love it. I started at 5. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you, my friend, my brother. So I thank you for even allowing me to share this platform with you and to talk a little bit about me. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. And what I'm going to say, Georgette, and before I even talk about it, I'm going to give her a chance to give a brief description of herself that I may even left out. But for most of you, I started this Unmasked back in June. She's actually the creator of the mask of Unmasked. And the whole Unmasked creation was her idea. I had one, and she actually convinced myself and my wife to this is the way we should go, and because she didn't want anything to happen. And all I thought about was, man, I'm just in it for the fun. And it became something. She saw something that I didn't. So I got to thank her for that, because I just was in it for to have fun, and it's taking a life of its own. And so I got to publicly thank her for that. And I appreciate that. But I'm giving you a chance to give a brief description of yourself that maybe I've left out. Maybe I didn't leave anything out, but I want to give you a chance to talk about that.
Oh, I can't think of anything. I think you covered it all, other than the fact that, just how much I love God, and He's first in everything that I do. And so other than that, I don't know. Did you mention my husband? I don't remember.
No, we didn't talk about Michael, but I try to focus on you today. I just said, mom, a lot of times, you've been married, but mom, the job of mom is very important. So I had to make sure I made that part.
Yes, that's the only thing I got to throw him in there a little bit. But no, I think you got it. I think you got it covered, my brother. But yes, just how much I just lean, trust, and depend on God for everything. And I do have a wonderful husband. So those are the only two things that.
Yeah, Michael is a great guy. He actually like 20 years ago. Wow, it's been almost 19 years ago when I first met him. And, he's always, he asked me a serious question back then. So I'm not even going to bring that up. But I think I made the right decision, even though he tried to talk me out of it back then. But I'm fine now. But look, before we even get unmasked, and talk about your nonprofit organization, because you got a lot of things going on, which is always good. But talk about your nonprofit organization, A Tribe Called Queens Incorporated, and how the viewers can help out or be a part of.
Sure. So I have a nonprofit, A Tribe Called Queens Incorporated, with me and 3 other queens. And it is an organization that is community based, where we love to connect with the community, where we believe in bridging gaps in the community for the women. We enjoy getting out. Of course, now with COVID going on, it's been kind of difficult. And so we had to pivot a little bit, and we do a thing called getting acquainted with the queens, where we sit down and still talk about community topics and hot things that are going on in the news right now, just trying to keep the community bridge to the new topics. We love talking about things that people don't want to talk about, things that people want to kind of keep hidden, but we need to talk about these things. You know, we've had, when we were live and able to be out in the community, we've had topics and events around suicide, and we've had topics and events about get your life, where women can come and just be able to have a safe place where they can relax for the day, get a chance to get back into what the things that they are missing. Because as you said, as mothers and as wives and all of the things that we continue to do, we kind of tend to forget about ourselves. And so we've also teamed up with other organizations throughout Maryland, helping women who are recovering and things of that nature. And so we're just always looking for people to team up with, that we can collaborate with when it comes to helping the women in the community for whatever it is that they need assistance with. So love it, love it, love it. We also have a really big event that we did. We did that about 3 times, the Resex session, where we come and talk about love, sex, and rebooting your intimacy and your love life. And we are, you know, Christian based, but we still have to talk about these things that people don't want to talk about. And so I just love it because we're able to get in there and really get in and just hone in on these things that people want to kind of you know, not shed a light on. And so like I said, we're always looking for people to team up with. If you are an organization that kind of fits into the culture of what we're looking for, then we would be honored to team up with you to have any events. If anybody ever wants to donate as well, we always are looking for donations to, you know, to help us as well. We did a book backpack drive where we raised over like 200 and something book bags that we were able to give out to the kids. So any way that you want to donate, any way that you want to collaborate, you can always do that. And we can be found at a tribe called queens.org. And you can also just follow us on all social media and all of that as well. So
Awesome, man. Awesome stuff. And I mean, I'm listening to it, and it sounds like what you do is, you know, getting uncomfortable being, well, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So I
exactly.
like that. I like that, you know, and talking about subjects that people don't, you know, like to talk about. But hey, it's, you know, hey, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's the one thing I like. Um, we can go right to it, but this is what you're here for, to get unmasked. So I like to ask this question first. Um, can you tell me a bit about your career path and what led you to the role or roles you're in today?
Mm. Well, I would have to say, I mean, I have had a very interesting career path, if you know, to say the least. I have not shied away from just doing certain things and really jumping in and taking the bull by its horns, I guess, as people would say. So I've done a little bit of everything, but it was for a reason. And I know that now, that the things and the path that I had been on was leading me to right where I am now. And it was all, you know, for a purpose. Even if I didn't know it back then, it was all for a purpose. And so, as you said, you know, I always ask myself, why was I a police officer? I mean, that was something that I was never even, never even saw that on the radar, never even thought, why in the world am I a police officer? But it was because I needed all of those skills and the abilities of being able to deal with, even though I'm always able to talk to each and everybody, but to really get in and dig in and to be able to handle certain situations and to really see how people are living and the things that people have to deal with. And trust me, I saw that on the streets of DC for almost 15 years. And it just changes your perspective about a lot of things. It makes you really figure out who you are too, as well as a person, when you have to deal with different calibers of people and different situations. And also, it just makes you stronger, you know. And I did not realize the high population of people with mental illness, you know, and it prepared me that and for just situations that I had to deal with, personally, where it was concerned. And so, in your family and things that you never even expect. And so as you sit back and look at all of the things that you have done and all of the paths that you have taken, is like, wow, all of this was for a reason, and all of it is for when you finally hone in on what it is that God has you here for. And so that's kind of what that path, even though it was a long, windy path, it led me to right where I am right now today. So
That's good stuff. That's great stuff, actually. Um, and I'm gonna take you back a little bit. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
ooh. I guess I would just say to truly believe in yourself, and to know that, whatever it is, that everything is a process, and that to enjoy the process as you're going through it, and not to give up too soon. Sometimes I think on some of the things that I didn't push as hard. Like, I was all in when I did it, and then when a little bit of, you know, I don't want to say trouble, but when a little irritant or something came in, or if it didn't seem that it was going to work right, I would, say, oh, you know what? I don't know if this is it, and then move on to something else. So to be able to truly be in it and just be, and let it evolve into what it could evolve into. And so I think that is just giving things a little bit more time. And even right now, I'm still, dealing with that, to learn to be patient, because this thing of entrepreneurship, it is not a game. Like, it is not people, those stories that people say, oh, I made it big. It takes time. It takes time.
That's so true. I think I was had someone on before, and they talked about. I mean, you got to at least think about 5 years. It's not just going to instantly happen. And if you're thinking that's going to happen, it's not. But you got to think of it in a term of 5 years. Getting through it. So I totally agree with you. Now, you talked about, like, you were so structured. You talked about 14 and a half, almost 15 years. So everything was structured. But, like, what does a work day, or what does that look like for you now? Like, what does that look like now?
Ooh. It's still structured. If not, I mean, even more, when, like I said, when you're working for yourself, you still, and that's part of, like I said, that journey, all of the things that I went through has prepared me to still have that structure, because you have to have some type of discipline. You have to be consistent. You have to have structure in order to make it through this entrepreneurship game. And so for me, I have always been an early morning person. So my day starts at 4:30 a.m. I get up, and the first thing I do is just sit in silence, and I just read the Bible, pray, praise, whatever it is, try and learn something new from the Bible. There's so much in there. So I do that for at least 40 minutes, an hour. Sometimes I look up, it might be an hour and a half. And so just depending on what I'm in. And then from there, I try and do some exercise, get my exercise in. After that, then I just get into my workday. I have actually do a live every day. So I prepare for that at 11 a.m. on Facebook. And then from there, I just go in and take care of whatever else I need to take care of for the day, emails and phone calls, Zoom calls, or whatever it is to continue to push through the business, looking for other ways to just grow the business, to collaborate with people, to connect with people, because that's very important. And then to serve the people well that God has given me. So
That's serving people. That's awesome. That is definitely awesome. What are some big projects that you're working on now, or that you finished in the last few months?
So I have just launched Ignite Her Country Club and prayer tours, and that is Ignite Her. I'm really excited about that. It falls under Prayer Tours, and what it is, it's a sistership, a community for women to come in and to have a safe space where we have prayer at the premise of all that we do, but to help women to finally stretch that faith muscle and to get them to get into their purpose, whatever that is, to be ignited into purpose, because we're all here for a reason. We're all here for something, and some of us don't know what that is. And let me say this, I cannot tell you what your purpose is. That's between you and God. Okay. But what I can do is assist you in figuring out what that is and to ignite you, like I said, to get you into movement, because a lot of us already know what our purpose is, but we don't know how to get there, or we think it's that, but we're not really sure. And so that is what I do, to be able to come in and to be able to get you ignited, to get you to stretch your faith and use prayer as a roadmap to get you into figuring out, okay, what is it that I am here to do? And so that is what Ignite Her is all about. And I'm like super excited to just be able to touch the women that I will touch, to be able to connect and collaborate. It's like a big online resource place for women to come to be able to meet up with other women and to find the resources that they need as well, so that they can, once they figure out what the purpose is, that they now have the resources that will allow them to be able to truly step into that purpose.
Awesome. I'm gonna ask you this question: what is your biggest failure? And then what did you learn from it?
I don't necessarily say that. I don't think of things as failures. I think of them as stepping stones and lessons learned. And as the older you get, that's what you're like, okay, God, even this morning, what am I to learn from something that I didn't do, or what I feel I didn't do correctly yesterday? What is the lesson that I am to learn from that? Because nothing is truly a failure. I don't see it like that. I see that, yeah, maybe it didn't work, okay, but now I need to pivot, and now can you show me what is it that I need to do? I need to figure it out. I need to keep pressing forward until I can figure out, okay, what am I to learn from this? Because the one thing that we don't want to do is keep doing the same thing over and over again, okay? Because that's the definition of crazy, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, it's not going to warrant you a different result if you keep doing the same thing. And so just being open to learning those lessons and knowing that it's okay. Like, that's a part of growing. That's a part of business. It happens to everyone. I don't care what business it is, even big business. They have to learn to pivot. They have to learn from their mistakes. And then, but what's most important to Lamar, the lesson I learned is to admit it, to not be afraid or ashamed to say, I messed up or that didn't work. And then to seek the help that you need to be able to push through. And so that's what I would say I would have to learn, to be able to open your mouth and ask for the assistance, ask for the help that you need so that you can learn from that lesson. But I don't see anything as a failure. I don't, yeah.
And I like that, because most entrepreneurs, they don't look at it as failure.
Mhm.
That's probably really the reason why I like asking the question, because I know that the answer I'm going to get is no. I don't believe anything is a failure. It didn't work out. So I love that. I love that answer. What you said. Now you talked about something a little earlier, and it was about Ignite Her, and I'm gonna tie this in because it sounded like you were really excited about it. So I really can't ask that question now. But what do you enjoy most about the work that you do? And then what do you enjoy the least?
I would say what I enjoy the most is just seeing the transformation of people and using the prayer and just God's word to really remind people who they are and whose they are, and that we are all that we're kings, that we're queens, you know, and that these women that I have the opportunity to even, that God has afforded me, because to me, it's an opportunity that God has chosen me to be able to be a representative for him, to know that we are chosen, that we all have a purpose, and to really, really see when people, you know, when they are ignited and when they are understanding that they are here for a purpose. And it doesn't matter who you are or what you've been through or what you're going through, that God still loves you and that he has you here for a reason. And so just the connection in the meeting, and to know that I provide a safe space, a safe environment, because a lot of women don't have that. And so to be able to provide that for them, where they can come and just be open and honest and not be judged, because we're always judged anyway, all the time. And so when you come into this space, there's no judgment. It doesn't matter where you are in your spiritual journey, where you are in your prayer life, like we just embrace you. And then the other women that I serve, I love that they just are there as well to build the other women up as well. So it's just all about that service and just serving them what they need. So, and the
Great
thing
stuff.
I would
But
say, the thing I like least,
or is there something that surprised you about the role when you started, from when you first started? So like it might not be a least, but was there something that surprised
I guess for me, like I said, just the waiting and knowing that I can't serve everyone. I have a real, that's a real stepping stone for me. I use the word stepping stone is because when you are this type of person, you want to help everybody. And it's hard to hear that you can't. And so for me, I have to really know that and be okay with it. And that is really a stepping stone for me, because I want to help everybody. I want to assist everybody, but I just can't do that. And I have to be okay with that. And so that, if I would have to say anything, that's what it would be. And then, you know, just being able to reach everybody, and like, okay, Georgette, you can't do that. Like, just hone in, serve who you have right now, and then God will allow you to serve more. And so you have to serve who you have right now and let him bring the people that you will serve as well. So just knowing that I can't help everybody, and it's but yeah.
you? Great stuff right there. Um, what are the best what are the best resources that that have helped you along the way?
Other people. I mean, first of all, well, God first and foremost, but just the connections and collaborations, because that's the whole purpose of this, because we're not meant to do life alone. Like, you know, we're not. I was just telling someone the other day, you know, even when God created the world, you know, when he made this whole big world, this whole creation, this whole thing, you know, he made the things first, right? So he made everything, and then he looked around and said something's missing. And so then he created Adam. And then even after he created Adam, it was like, okay, well, now he by himself. What does that mean? And so then he's like, no, he can't be by himself. He created Eve. And then he gave Eve the honor and pleasure, thank you, God, that to be able to have babies. And that is what we're supposed to do, that we are supposed to create, you know, children, so then that they can create and create and create. And so it's all about community. We weren't meant to do life alone, no matter what. I don't care. Even people who say, oh, I'm loners, I'm this, at the end of the day, you still need somebody. And so I think for me, it's just the connections and the collaboration and the people that I have met along the way in this journey. And everyone's here, you know, I say that too. Someone's here for a reason, a season, or whatever it is. And so we just have to know that, and it's okay. And so yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, I like it. I mean, I hope people like hear these dropping some nuggets over here. So that's what it's about. Educating as well. So it can be entertaining and then also therapeutic. But what are some of the biggest challenges you face day to day? And then what's some of the biggest rewards?
I would say entrepreneurship is a lonely game sometimes because you are, focused on the business so much, and sometimes you kind of, it takes a lot of your time, and you have to find that balance. And so that's kind of where I am now. We have to find that balance to be able to still to juggle everything, to be able to be, an entrepreneur, but also to be a mom, and to also be, a wife and a friend and a sister and all of those things. And so I think daily that is learning for me how when to shut it down, and also just to make sure that I am focused on the right thing, that I am, doing what needs to be done in the business. And so that is some of, just the challenges for me to be able to say, okay, you've done enough for today. Like just it's okay. Get your to-do list for tomorrow and just attack those things tomorrow. But entrepreneurship can be, it could be a lonely game, man. It could be a lonely game. I think it could be a lonely game out here. So you just have to make sure you have other entrepreneurs that you can kind of just lean in on, and get some advice and all of those things, and learn how to enjoy life too, like not just stay so focused on the entrepreneurship and the business, even though it's hard. All people say that, but entrepreneurs, we don't do it. we,
I
we
like that.
don't we don't do it. We say it and we tell other people, we really don't do it. But I'm getting a lot better. I really am. But I just, I feel like if I have time, that I could be spending that time, trying to enhance the business, trying to do something more. And so but yeah, but I'm getting better. I'm not as bad as I used to be. I am getting better.
That's good. And I'm glad you said something about family. We're gonna come back to that because that's gonna be later on down the road, probably about that. I'm glad you kind of mentioned that a little bit. Um, who are three people who have been the most influential to you?
Ooh. Well, I would have to say God first, because that, I mean, always three people who've been influential to me. Um, that's a hard one. Let me see. I would just have to say women who have come before me, um, women entrepreneurs who have kind of paved the way, for me to be able to even step in this area, to be even able to claim that I am an entrepreneur. All of the women before me who have made it, and all of the women before me who have paved the way. And so I can't think of any particular name, but I mean, I just think about the Madam CJ Walkers, and all of the women who have, who were entrepreneurs back then, that kind of paved the way for me. I mean, if I had to think of someone, I mean, I think about Harriet Tubman a lot, and just how the things that she did, and just it just blows my mind, that how strong she was. And so just looking at women like that from the past is definitely, women that I look up to and that I honor. And I mean, I have a combination. There's some women that I look up to who are speakers, like, Alana Van Zant and Lisa Nichols. And I look at them as, women who have definitely, that I aspire not to be, but just to, I love their mission. I love what they're all about. And so I look at them as women that I can look up to, definitely. Oprah Winfrey, of course, you cannot leave her out the pack. And so just as they are building their legacy. So for me, it's all about building that legacy. Let's see. So that's a couple names right there. I can't, if
Those are
something
some
else,
great ones, though. Those are some great ones.
yeah, if something else pops up, then I'll say it. I mean, of course, but I have to give props to my mom too, I guess I would say, because my mom is so strong, and so many people don't even know the story about my mom, and I just recently started sharing publicly the story about my mom. And so, I it's just amazing to me how she even made it. And when she's still alive, but my mom could not read growing, she just left school when she was 13. She never even finished school at all. She raised 4 kids, and she just is the strongest person I know, smartest person I know. And I'm just like, I don't even know how she did it. And so yeah, I would have to definitely say her, because her story is just amazing. It just still blows my mind.
I'm sure it's going to come back up in this segment, because that situation, that's something that's going to come back. She's going to come back up. Trust me, I believe it. Like, what piece of advice would you give a high school? You just had a recent high school graduate who's now in college, or a high school college graduate who wants to become an entrepreneur?
Never give up on your dream. Never let anybody tell you that you cannot do anything. We can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens us. As long as and it says, but the key is through him. You got to know him, and it got to be through him. Okay. But we can't, if I would have had someone back then to really, blow into my dreams and my visions, then I know, and like I said, we have to take the road that we take, but it would probably, I just can't even imagine where I would be right now today. And so it's all about just sticking true to who you are, doing what it is that that you have a love and a passion to do. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be, something that you dread. It shouldn't be anything. It should be something that you just love to do, and make sure you're doing it. Love what you do, and do what you love. And so that's what I would say. And never let anybody, I don't care who it is, your family, your friends. And if it's the craziest thing you ever heard of, that it don't even matter. As long as you believe in it, then you just do it, and just watch God work. He will always send you what you need when you need, as long as you're aligned with him and you're doing it through him. So
Awesome. I love it. Love that answer. What would you say are your top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur? What's your top 3 skills?
Discipline, consistency, and never giving up.
Those are 3 great ones. Wow, I love it. 3 great ones. You can't go wrong with that. What entrepreneur tricks have you discovered to keep you focused and productive in your day-to-day busy schedule?
Turn off social media. No, social media isn't always bad. It's good, actually, because it is very good. It's a good, viable way to drive and grow your business. So, but you have to know what your why is, why you're doing this, and just stay focused on that. And we all get distracted. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't get distracted. But the thing is that it's about that bounce back. How you have to allow yourself. First of all, you have to know yourself. Okay. You have to know yourself and know what causes you to be distracted, what causes you not to be distracted, and then you work from that. And so if you know that social media is a big distraction for you, then say, okay, you know what, if I just need to be on this social media, you give yourself a set amount of time and say, okay, from this time to this time, this is what I'm going to do to get on social media, and then go and then get off of it. And so that's what I do. I've always been able to, I mean, it's so funny because they're like, I don't know how you can sit there that long in front of the computer, but it's just something that I'm just disciplined enough that I can do that. And it just comes with forming habits, and you always hear about people who are successful and people who make it big. It's just the habits. You have to start making things a habit. You have to start doing them daily. You have to start doing them. And so that it just becomes like second nature. I haven't woken up to an alarm clock in years. Like, I mean, it's just in me. It just I just wake up. I don't need it. I mean, I set it just in case, but I really don't need it. Most of the days I'm up before it even goes off, but it's just because it's a habit. And the body is an amazing thing. I mean, if you just let it do what it do, and if you just train it to do what you want it to do, it will. And so, yeah.
Wow. I'll train the body. That's good stuff, man. I'm listening because I'm over here. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna jot some stuff down. I'm loving this. What key activities would you recommend entrepreneurs to invest their time in?
Reading. And even nowadays a lot of people don't read. Even if you listen to the audio books, I love to listen to other entrepreneurs. I love to listen to other people who are successful, other people who can give you the, like, I'm hot on Seth Godin right now. I love him, and he is the creator. He wrote the book Purple Cow. He's a big marketer. He has a lot of stuff going on, but I've been listening to him a lot lately, and I just love that whole his whole approach about being different, because that's who I am. Like, it's different and I love it. And so he's one of my big listening to right now. I listen to him a lot, but just, and YouTube, and I mean, I listen to just, you gotta be careful too and take what you need from it. But it always expands your mind. Always try to learn something new. We're never too old to learn something new, and just be open to what others are telling you. Take what you need from it, and then it's like a sifter or a strainer. You shake out what you need and you keep what you need. And so that's what I say.
I'm sitting here, I'm listening to a lot of the answers you come with these. I mean, did I actually send you the questions? Because a lot of stuff is you're answering it before you even get to. But I'm gonna ask you this one next. But who has been and this is what I say it could tie in. Maybe it's not her. I'm throwing a hint out there, but who's been your greatest inspiration?
My mom.
We talked about influential earlier, but who's been your greatest inspiration?
My mom.
I figured that. That's why I know it was coming back. That's why I wanted to ask.
Yes.
I wanted to ask that. And you talked about that earlier and why. So, I can understand why. And like you said, she had 4 kids, and you went on to college, and graduated from University of Texas El Paso. So, I mean, like, those are things like people don't realize, like, you can be inspired. They don't have they're not great in everyone else's eyes, but they're great in your eyes, and you never know where your inspiration comes from. And you saw the hard work she went through and everything she went through, and it inspired you to be like, okay. And your parents always want you to be better than what they are, and so I'm sure that's what came about. She pushed you to be better than her. Same thing you do with your kids, I'm sure. So, I mean, I can understand that why you say mom. So,
Yes.
Go ahead. You want to say anything?
No, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I like I said, it still boggles my mind. So it's not meant for me to understand, but it's just meant for me to, like you said, for her to inspire. And she's like one of my biggest cheerleaders. And so I just thank her, and I thank her for even her, even her struggle, like I just thank her for the struggle and the things, even though I didn't see it when I was growing up, and when I wanted to go to the community high school and she wouldn't let me do it, but I understand now why she was the way that she was, and I get it. I didn't get it back then because I was a teenager and I didn't understand, and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. However, as you get older and as you mature, the reasons why people do things. And so, yeah.
Awesome. You talked about, this was just a few minutes ago, like what business related book has inspired you the most, or what is your favorite book? Well, I know what your favorite book is. I know what that is. But like, what business related book has inspired you the most? I know what I mean. I know the answer. I'm just listening to you. You can tell, what who you are and where your faith lies. So, but what business related book has inspired you the most?
Oof, it's so many. I'm gonna have to go with Purple Cow now because that's the latest thing that I was reading right now. But oh my God, there's so many. But I would just say that because that book came out some years ago, but I just actually finished reading that book. That's a good book. Another book is and I have to mention 3 Feet from Gold. Oh my goodness, like I love that book as far as business is concerned because it's so true. Like, I don't want to tell y'all the book, but yes, 3 Feet from Gold is an amazing book. If you are looking to be an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, it's just it's a great book. So I definitely recommend that as well.
I might need to read that myself. So it
Yes.
sounds exciting. Um, you talked about this a little earlier, and you could probably expand on it a little bit. Like, how has being an entrepreneur slash businesswoman affected your family life? I mean, now you have two adult, and I call Madison adult. She is, in college, but how has it affected your family life over the years? Because like you said, you talked about it earlier, like you had to get to a point was like, I got to put this down, because you do spend so much time trying to build your brand, try to build your legacy, that you kind of get tunnel vision, and it's like everything else becomes secondary.
Yes. So, I mean, I've been very fortunate, thank goodness, that I do have a family that understands that I've just always been an entrepreneur, and that I've always had this go get it mentality. And so they're kind of used to me. And so I really, I've been very, very fortunate that I have supportive family, that I have supported, even friends that support me. But I do, trust me, I love to travel. And so I do get my travel time in. I do make time for my husband, and I do make time for, for my kid. But they're, like you said, they're grown now. I mean, my son is 30 and he has a family of his own. And so Madison is here, but she's in her own world too, as a freshman in college. So I really don't have to deal with them on the level of them being younger kids. And so, but we still make sure that we have our family time and stuff like that. But the thing is that they see what I'm doing and they understand what I'm doing. That is just not for me, that is for them as well. And so it's about, now, as you get to the age that I'm at, it's about building legacy and building generational wealth for them. And so that's what pushes me so hard to continue in this, because I want to be able to leave that for them. I want to be able to show them that you can do whatever it is that you want to do if you just put in the time and the effort. And sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not, and sometimes you may have to pivot and readjust, and that's fine too. And so, and my husband, like I said, I mean, oh my God, I always say that he was created and designed especially for me. Because I don't know too many people who would put up with me. I'm just being 100. Thank you, baby. Love you. So, but he's very, very supportive. And He always has been. But I play hard and I work hard too. So I play just as hard as hard as I work. And so definitely.
I must say Michael is a special guy. That's all. He's a, he's very special. And I'm gonna say this, like, I mean, I saw Tremaine grow up, and he was an athlete, and going to college, and playing. And then Madison, I think she get the creative side from you. And for people who don't know, she's a terrific artist. She can really draw. So I can see where she gets the creative side from you, because she is her artwork is terrific, and she's going to be, she may not want to be an entrepreneur, but her creative side is definitely on the art side, and I know she's going to do well herself. What motivates you?
Mm, I would say I motivate myself a lot. You have to self-motivate if you are an entrepreneur, because you just have to have that motivation inside of yourself to keep going. Even when you want to quit, you just have to do it. But I would just also say I love music. And so whenever I need some motivation, whenever I need some whenever actually right before I was in here listening to music. And so that is my thing. I'm not really a TV person. I don't really watch too much TV. I can leave it or take it. But what motivates me is just music and my why, and just like I said, just serving and really seeing people, you know that they can do it, whatever it is that they want to do. And so that's what motivates me, just to keep going. And I love challenges too. Like that's a motivator for me too. Like I love when people say I can't do something, or whenever, I even for myself, if I say I can't do something, and then it's a challenge for me to be able to do it. And so that's what motivates me as well.
Belief, powerful tool. It is a very
Yes.
powerful tool. Um, what is your greatest fear? People don't like this. I don't think they like this a lot. What is your greatest fear, and how do you manage that fear?
Well, I take fear as fuel. So, but we all have fear. I mean, is if you don't have fear, then I would love to meet you. But is what you do with that fear. And so, I guess now, and you know what, you could ask me that question 5 years ago. You can ask me that question in 5 years, and I'm sure it will change, because it just depends on where you are in your journey. So for me right now, the biggest fear is not showing up and doing what it is that I was created to do. That has been over the past 2 years, as I've been transforming and really becoming the person who God has called me to be. Because I ran for a long time. I was running for a long time from this some of this journey. But I think for me, the fear is disappointing God and not being who he's called me to be, and not truly living in my purpose, and leaving the legacy behind for others to really know what it is that I left here. And so I don't want to leave here with no regrets. I don't want to leave here with no shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like I want to leave here. I laugh all the time, and I tell people, and I know you probably know, I tell, like, when I die, I just want y'all to come and say she lived. You know what I mean? Because that is what this life is for us to live. And so that would be my biggest fear, like that I didn't do what I was created to do. And so, yeah.
I like that. I definitely like that. My next question to you is, how do you define success?
I think for me, success is truly being free. um Being free to just to be, like, being free to be that person that shows up and shows up for yourself first and foremost, and then shows up for the people that are counting on you, the people that are dependent on you. Um, yeah, and I think it's just about being free. You know, I just turned 50 this year, and it's like it's a whole nother ball game when you hit 50. It's just like you just really you just love being, you know, just being you and just doing what it is that you enjoy doing. And it's still an everyday journey. Like you learn something new about yourself every day. And to be honest with yourself, you know, I was talking about this morning with my ladies on my 6 a.m. call. You know, it's so hard sometimes for people to be honest. And I'm really on a quest to find out why, you know, and is it because we don't want to hurt other people, or is it really because we just don't know how to be honest, or what is it? And so I think when you get to that point where you can just truly be honest with yourself, that's success. When you're truly happy with yourself and what it is that you're doing, to me that's success. Because someone said something to me recently that was so true about making money. Like it's easy to make money. And so we can't look at success as money, even though, you know, it's like that is always at the forefront of everything that we do. We can't be crazy either. We know that this world operates off of money. We need money to generate business. We need money to operate business. But it's so many people who have money who are still not happy. And so just finding that balance of, yes, you know we need the money, but are you truly happy in what it is that you're doing? And that's where the success comes in, because the money will come. You just have to wait for it. And it like people say, it don't grow on trees, and it takes time and it takes work, but it will come. But you got to be happy with yourself. Like you just have to just love who you are and what it is that you're serving.
I love that. Now, do you believe that there is some sort of pattern or formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Work, work, and more work. I mean, I know if I knew that, then, you know, I think I would be selling that and I would be a billionaire by now because everybody would be buying it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You're right.
If I had that answer, I
You're
think it's just,
100% right.
yeah, I think it's just, you know, it really and truly, it's all about, like I said, just being honest with yourself, being in a space where you're happy, where you're excited, and you know, it's just about your timing and God's timing for you, and everything just lining up. And yeah, and just continuing, like I said, to be disciplined and to be consistent and just showing up, like even when you don't want to. And it's some days that you don't want to. It's some days you question, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, is this even working? Is this the right path? Is this the right path? You know, like you just said, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this where I am? And so on those days, that's when you just have to dig even deeper, you know, into and remember your why. Like, why am I really here? Why am I doing this? And your why should never change. Yes, your things around you may change, but your why, at the root of that why, of why you're serving and why you're doing what you're doing, that's not going to change. Like your procedures may change, your processes may change, even your business may change. You know, they may have to pivot, and you may find yourself over here doing something else, but that deep why of why you're doing it, that should never change. And so if I would have to say, is there a pattern, it would be your why. Just keep your why right in front of you and just continue to go towards that why and never lose it.
Okay, I like that. Make sure you drop. It's some key words that I'm just. I've heard pivot a few times. I mean, I'm listening to some things now. Um, what is the common what is the common myth about your profession, or like even in entrepreneurship or field, that you would want to debunk? Because you kind of mentioned something a little earlier. I want to see, but what is one common myth about entrepreneurship that you want to debunk?
That it doesn't happen overnight. What does it say? It takes 10 years to become a overnight success. So yeah, so don't believe the hype. Don't believe, everything that glitters is not gold. And we all have our journey, we all have our struggles, we all have our challenges, we all have everything that we need to bear. And yes, I mean, it doesn't mean that, I don't know. For me, I'm very transparent, and sometimes I'll be like, "Ooh, maybe I'm too transparent," because a lot of people are not really that transparent when it comes to talking about business and how difficult it is, and some people will tell you some things, but they don't tell you everything. And so, it's like I said, just about being that honesty. And there's no such thing as an overnight success. Like, I've been in this entrepreneur game for a while, and it's still every day. Like I said, you can learn something new. And I think now for me, in the area that I'm going into, it's just difficult to, when it comes to ministry and money. That's always been something that has been, a taboo topic. And so just have to, reform people's minds and things like that when it comes to when you're talking about prayer and this and that. And so just making sure that the messaging is crystal clear on what it is that you're doing. And so I think that that's very, very important. But there's no overnight success. It just does not exist. It just doesn't. It doesn't exist in this. And if it is, then because somebody helps somebody, even if along the way, we never do this thing alone. Someone gave you a tip, someone pulled you in and said, "Hey, let me assist you, let me help you, let me show you, and so yeah, it just, that's one of the myths that I just want. And I have to tell myself that too. I'm speaking to myself even as I'm saying it. Like, it you can't start this business today and think you're going to, be at your financial goal tomorrow. Like, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Thanks for that information. I mean, I'm glad you're saying it. You listen to it, and so other people can hear that and take that as that's gold. That's some gold information right there. Like, what's something that people misunderstand about you?
Ooh, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know. Maybe people probably think that, I am just, that I don't go through things. Maybe I would think if I had to say something, but I mean, I don't know, because I wouldn't even know that, because I come on here crying and sharing too. So I really don't know. That's the good question. But yeah, I don't know. I never even thought about that. I don't even know how to answer that.
We're gonna have you think about that one. We're gonna have to get you back up here. Because you don't think about that. You never think about, like, oh, what is this? What do people actually think? So you don't. So if you don't worry about what people saying, then you don't.
That's right.
You're not caring what they're saying. So
that's what I was going to right. That's what I was going to say. It don't really matter. I guess maybe that's why I don't think of
it. Right.
Because it doesn't matter. It don't matter. Like, people asking it all the time, like, what are your haters saying? And I'm like, I really don't think I have any. Or if I do, like, they're real quiet. They don't say anything. So I don't know if that's good or bad, because then they be like, oh, you should have haters, because then that means you don't. And I'm like, well, does that mean I'm not doing anything because I don't have haters? Like, I don't know. But if they are, I mean, but I don't even look at it like that. Like, I feel that you can learn from everybody, even in the things that people say. Like, if they truly bother you, like really, really bother you, then maybe some of it is just a little bit true. So yeah, I really, Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Like, cause I really
Well,
don't.
that's a good answer if you can't think of it. So that's a good thing too. So
Yeah.
I would say that. So I'm gonna ask you this: if you could step into my shoes today, like, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Um, hmm.
Because you helping me now. This could be for the next person. But I'm like, yeah, what would you like? What would I ask myself that he didn't ask me today?
Uh, I guess the only thing I probably would have asked is, growing up, what would you have done differently than what I did? And so that's the only thing that I
Oh,
could
that's coming. Don't worry about it. That's coming. That's
yeah,
coming.
that's
That's
the
not
only
over.
thing I could think about so far. Pretty much everything else you
Well, leading into that, that was my next question. If you could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her? See, I tell it like, I think you got the questions. I don't know how, but like,
I ain't
it's
get
like
the questions.
you, but what would you
I do
tell
not
her? What
have
would
the
you tell?
questions.
Yeah, what would you tell? Turning back the time, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? What would you tell yourself?
Okay, let's back it up even more and say, what would you tell your 17-year-old self? Because
17. Okay.
I would tell my 17-year-old self, no, do not get married. I got married at 17. And I would tell my 17-year-old self, like, no, don't do it. That's what I would tell my 17-year-old self. That's what I would say.
Okay. There you go. So yeah, you backed it up to 17, which I can understand that because now you don't know what now, but you get married at 17, but you get a wonderful son out of that. I'm gonna say that. So
Yes.
if you get rid of the 17-year-old, then you don't have Tremaine. So like you sure about that now? That's what you got to think about. But like,
I know. It's a good. I mean, we like I said, I definitely, yeah, I don't know. Only because it's like I would just wonder sometimes what would have been. It's not that I would give it up because if I had
correct.
to do it all over again, of course, so because of course now I have my beautiful grandbaby. However, though, we do, I really wonder like what would have happened, what would have who would Georgette be if she had taken another road. And so it's not really about, it's just a question and just a wonder of what or who would I be if I did not get married at 17. Um, so it's just more for that, not that I would give it up because, of course I love my son, I love my grandbaby. So, but it's just, you wonder about those things like, now wonder where I would be. Because see, when I was growing up, my goals and my dreams were that I was going to Howard University to study law and that I was going to become a judge. That's what I wanted to do. Like,
Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I understand. Now I understand.
and so that's why I say that because, and it's funny, like I said, I never even thought about, I mean, I wound up being in law enforcement, but as a police officer, not as an attorney, even though I dealt with attorneys and judges and things like that. But yeah, that was that's what I wanted to do when I was younger. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to HU, I wasn't going to Howard, and I was going to become a judge. Like that was just what it was.
Well, I mean, so we'll still take it out of it. You would tell your 17-year-old self not to get married, and life still turned out great for you, even though hey, you like you said, we're dealing with hypothetical here, but hey, that's what you tell yourself. Well, look, Georgette, I want. I mean, I could sit here and do this all day. I want to thank you again for being a guest on this show and being unmasked. This is actually, the second edition of this, doing with, dealing with entrepreneurship. So it's something that definitely had to get you on, just knowing you close to like the last 19 or 20 years, just being creative, people hearing your story, you know, and like the wonderful things that you do and the things you're going to continue to do. Just want to make sure everyone gets to hear you and what you do. So by saying that, is there anything that you want to leave us with before we go?
No, other than in this time where things seem so, everyone is ready for 2020 to be over, and like just over 2020, and like, oh my goodness, it was the worst year. And I'm not taking away from all of the people that were lost during this year, all of the things that happened during this year, all of the things that occurred during this year. But we have to always look at the other side as well. And so many things were birthed in this year. So many businesses were birthed in 2020. Wherever there is loss, there is always growth. And so I just want people to know that in the midst of the loss, there's always something on the other side of that. And so if we just continue to focus on getting through it, pushing through, and just really trusting God for his word. He's never left us. He's never failed us before. All of the things that we've been through, it seems like it's the worst thing at that point in time because you're in the midst of it. But then when you come out of it and you look back and you're like, oof, I made it through that, and it wasn't as bad as it, even when you were in it. Yes, it was bad, and it may be bad, but you made it through. And so just continue to keep hope. Where there is hope, there is just that slither of where you can just continue to push forward. So just, if nothing else, and I know it's easier said than done, but just continue to trust. And like I said, wherever there is loss, there's the opportunity for growth. And so just look at it like that and say, okay, I know I'm losing something, I've lost something, but what am I to learn from this? And then what is supposed to come out of this? And so always looking at what is the lesson that I am to learn from this, so I won't have to do it again. And sometimes we do, though. Sometimes we hard-headed, we don't listen, and we have to go through it again. I've been there, done that a couple of times myself. So, but just try, just keep trusting yourself. Listening to that inner voice. We have it for a reason. That Holy Spirit that is in you is there for a reason. So listen to it, trust it. Take your fear and turn it into fuel so that you can just keep pushing through with that, and use that to get you through whatever it is that you need to get through. And just enjoy
Awesome.
life. Yeah, and enjoy life. Like, have fun. I laugh all the time. So just have fun, enjoy life, and just, enjoy your family and all of those things.
Awesome. And I thank you for dropping all these jewels today. It's been wonderful. I hope people learn from this. I thought it was awesome. And I want to thank you viewers for watching an exclusive episode of Unmasked. Stay tuned for the next guest as we get them unmasked. Happy holidays to you. See you next time. Stay safe and out of harm's way.